Alrighty, so I guess welcome back to episode 2 of the Fourth Place podcast.
Yes, welcome back, guys. How is It's good to be back.
Yeah, so I guess to start off with, I have a very interesting topic that we can.
Well, what have you got? What are we going to talk about today?
Well, it's been a very big week in tossing.
Yes,
because there was an election decided via tossing.
Explain how so.
So there's a place called Porto Princesa where an election.
You mean Port-au-Prince?
Princesa.
Princesa.
There's two. The Port-au-Prince is the African one. This is in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. Sorry, this is in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the town in Palawan, and two people, Noel and Sue, both got 3,495 votes each.
Yep.
So they officially tied.
Tied.
Yeah. So their way of deciding who won the election was to flip a coin.
Wow. So how many votes did they get?
3,495.
I think that's probably more than what Tony Abbott got when he lost his seat of, I think it's Warringal or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
you say that, but I actually read today that he actually gets a pay increase as a result of it.
Well, he's retired now. So.
Yeah, because as a retired prime minister, you actually get like $100,000 more on your
whatever his golden handshake pension is.
Yeah, the pension. Yeah, so the pension for a retired prime minister is $100,000 more than if you are a current minister.
Well, that's good. That's not bad.
So
retired prime minister, out the door you go. I'll give you an extra $100,000 plus on the way out.
Yeah, so I don't think it happens in Australia, but yeah, it's actually happened quite a bit. There was also in the last couple of weeks, there was a basketball game in California that was decided by a coin toss as well.
Why?
They went to double overtime and still couldn't decide it. So
the NBA goes to 4 overtimes. Surely this stuff could go to like 5 overtimes if they wanted to.
But so yeah, I guess.
Or just at least have it like free throw shooting or something, not a coin toss.
Have you ever had a important decision decide on a toss?
Yeah, I have actually.
Really? What?
Well, I've played games with mates that we've ended up all square with after, and we've decided to flip a coin.
Okay.
So it is kind of
Did you have a good toss with each other?
We did have a good toss. We did have a good toss. Yeah.
I remember it's
an interesting way to decide things.
In like youth football, we were playing a game one day, and like before the game, the captains would do a coin toss and whatever. But the umpire comes in and is like, he made it like this crazy announcement of like, where's the captain? We need to have a go have a toss. And everyone was like, whoa, that sounded so.
You got to love it when people say things and they actually sound a lot worse than what they realistically are.
Yeah, well, I've done a bit of research and found a whole bunch of things that have been decided on tosses because, well, yeah.
Yep.
So
what do we have that's been decided on the flip of a coin?
So from recent times, there was a Virginia governor's race that was decided by a coin toss, and apparently it's actually quite common in these elections.
Wow.
There was a Clay County, Alabama sheriff that was also decided on a...
Is it because no one votes on these things?
I don't know, probably. But this is one that will really amaze you. So you know the company Hewlett-Packard?
Yes.
The name was decided based on a coin toss.
What was the other decision?
Packard-Hewlett.
Well, they both sound the same, so it doesn't
Yeah,
really
but it was
matter.
like two partners who decide that whoever...
So they basically decide, so they're probably their two...
So they had a good old toss together and...
Yeah. And whoever ended up on top was the one who got their name first, quite clearly.
A coin toss named Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
A coin toss decided who got to fly the first flight. Coin toss decided the fate of Richie Valens, the big bopper.
Richie Valens.
Yeah, so you know the song "The Day the Music Died"?
Yes.
Yes. So the song that's about, the plane crash that was there was one seat left, and the final seat was decided based on a coin toss. Plane crashed, they all died. One person is still alive because...
Well, that's not great, but anyway.
Yeah.
You would have wanted to lose that coin toss, not win it.
Yeah, it's amazing how many like plane crashes you always hear of someone who just missed it.
Yeah.
And I always imagine being in their position and being like, Because I would be so pissed off if I missed a flight for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then like
To find out that you would have been dead.
Yeah, and you're probably sitting on like another flight, or I think in this case the guy had to take a bus, so it would have been like a whole day's bus ride. So you'd be sitting there just pissed off, like, why did I lose that toss? I need to be a better tosser.
Pissed.
For fuck's sake. And then you then go, oh shit, I actually lived because of this.
Yeah.
So the owner of Secretariat, a famous horse, which there was a
I
movie
know
recently.
I've heard of Secretariat.
It won the Triple Crown.
It's an American horse. Yes.
Yeah, but it was in a movie, I think 10 years, I don't know. Recent times there's a movie made about it.
It's won the Triple Crown. It's big success.
And the owner, two of them, they got to choose the horses and they chose between two based on a coin toss. So that's probably
you'd be pretty
I would
happy.
assume that's like a multi-million-dollar swing on a coin toss. So you have no idea.
Just making a multi-million-dollar decision on the flip of a coin.
So what if I told you that the entire NBA history that we know?
Yeah.
So basically, the entire NBA history from 1980 onwards, probably until 2000s, was affected by a coin toss.
That wouldn't surprise me.
So basically, in 1979. It came down to that there were two conferences in the NBA, and the loser of each would then go into a coin toss to decide who would get the first pick.
Yeah.
And that year in 1979, it was the LA Lakers or the Chicago Bulls were going to get the first pick. And as a result, of the coin toss, the LA Lakers got it, and Magic Johnson got that. But if it went the other way, that means that the Chicago Bulls would have got it, which then means that you don't necessarily have the whole Jordan thing.
I was going to say
everything gets flipped on its head.
It's amazing how things kind of work out in general. Like, if Magic Johnson goes to Chicago instead, then you're right. That dynasty at Chicago through the 90s.
Well, the Lakers history changes. The Chicago history changes. Everything changes.
It's completely different. So all on the flip of a coin, quite literally.
And apparently, if you flip a coin, the majority of times, if the coin is heads up, when it's flipped, it will actually remain heads up when it lands.
Okay.
Statistically. So even though it's meant to be 50-50,
is it because there's more weight on one side of the coin or the other?
Something to do with the way that people flip it, that they did some study that...
Can you imagine doing that study, how many times you'd flip a coin?
Yeah, I feel like, I'm pretty sure I read that some guy just dedicated his whole life to flipping coins. And then he taught himself how to actually rig it so that he could do it.
Rig it?
Yeah, so if he flipped it, he could actually... almost to a T get it to, at least substantially in his favor.
Well, I'm sure if you flipped a coin enough times, you'd work out pretty quickly. You'd work out one way or the other how hard or how little to flick it to get it land on a certain surface or whatever to land in a certain way. You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that we went to my dad's friend's place once and he had a book that was about that thick on how to roll dice for craps and how to be able to control the roll of the dice.
Well, some people actually do that.
Well, I feel like you can, but like it's not really. It's got to be the feel, not the.
I've heard of stories of that happening as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where it's just you can learn it, and you're either just
you'd have to repetition. You have to be like you're
either naturally gifted at it or not. Like
even if you're not naturally gifted, it's not something you can read and just do. It's more of a doing thing.
It's like a practicing. Like you would literally have to go to the casino to practice it again and again and again and again.
Yeah. Or you have to buy your own full size table and
which I'm sure someone out there would have.
There's got to be value in doing that.
Yeah. You're going to try and take money from a casino.
All right. So then I have some more interesting things that are going on at the moment.
Yep.
So did you know that the Queen has a dedicated servant to break in her shoes so she doesn't get blisters?
That wouldn't surprise me.
I guess if you got the money, you may as well do it. But it got me thinking.
The royal family, right?
Yeah.
Has the ability to do pretty much whatever they want.
Well, they're not supposedly as rich as what. Well, I mean, they have endless money, but they're supposedly only worth like 100 million, whatever.
Oh, they're worth hundreds of millions. So that's plenty enough to be able to do whatever you want.
I guess. But
And the whole thing is that it's like spread over. It's not like it's controlled by one person. It's spread over everybody.
sure.
So I'm sure the Queen, who has her fair share, can organise and make whatever, can pretty much get done whatever she wants to do.
Well, it got me thinking of what would be the stupidest thing you would hire someone to do?
What would be the stupidest?
I'll start. I would hire someone to wipe my ass.
Well, that's what
and stare them in the eyes as they do it.
Well,
so we have to
that was my
lock
first
eye contact.
That was my first thought as well. Just bend. You just bend over and they got to wipe you.
Bend over.
They've got to
figure their way in.
Yeah, they've got to work out their way in.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pay someone to feed you.
Yeah, I guess. But that just, I mean, they probably kind of are anyway, since they're paying people to cook for them.
Yeah.
Which is most of the work. So like actually putting it in your mouth.
Well, this is
imagine having like you're an adult and then they're doing open your mouth. Here comes the Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there are grown people out there who have that done to them.
I'm sure there's people that do that as a fetish.
Yeah, true.
I mean, sexual turn on.
Yeah, it's amazing what people get turned on by these days. I mean, it's like, yeah, I suppose people just want to be treated like a baby sometimes. That is true.
Yeah. Changing you.
Changing you clothing. Yeah, that'd be another weird one. Getting someone to put your clothes on for you, a grown person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Washing you. But again, all these things they kind of do in aged care homes anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say, this sounds like either a toddler or an aged care facility, basically. I don't know. I'm sure there's some, yeah.
What about, wearing your clothes so they feel more real?
You wouldn't want to wear someone else's
I wonder
clothes.
what the job description for shoe wearer inner is. Like, what is even the job title? Like,
it'd be like
professional shoe unblisterer.
Professional, I don't know, shoe massage.
What happens if that is your job and then you start getting blisters? Do you then become? Is that become part of work cover where
probably
I have an on the job injury? I have a blister on my foot.
You got a blister on your foot. That's part of your on the job. What's your job? I wear in people's shoes professionally.
You know when you go to different countries and shit and you have to fill out what your job is?
Yeah.
Imagine having to fill out, I wear shoes in for the Queen.
Well, it's like me going to the Philippines and say, what's your profession? Motivational speaker. That was fantastic writing that on the
I'm a professional shoe wearer.
I'm a professional shoe wearer.
Oh, so you model shoes.
That's a bit interesting.
No, I don't model shoes. I just make sure they're not blistering for the Queen.
That's fact.
Imagine you met someone and they told you that was their job. There is no way you would believe them.
I know somewhere where that could happen. I reckon, and this is, I'm going to segue into what I'm going to talk to next. I reckon that would happen in Russia.
Yeah,
probably. I reckon the I reckon the leader of Russia, the president, Vladimir Putin, I reckon he would get someone because those new leather shoes would be a bit tight around his feet.
Yeah.
Now, moving into what I want to talk about. In Russia recently, they had what's called Victory Day on the 9th of May. This is a week and a half ago.
Is that where they celebrate winning World War II?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's where they celebrate their achievements in war, similar to Independence Day in America or Anzac Day here in Australia. They celebrate the efforts of the people who have fought in the wars, their people who have fought in the wars. Now, it's a big thing because I spoke to someone who's from Russia about it. There's huge parades and everything in Red Square.
I've seen that on the new one.
There's tanks going, military marches, and all the war veterans come and get celebrated for what they do. And apparently there's fireworks at night and everything. It's just it's a big thing. Apparently it's stage 2 of a week long, or apparently there's another holiday on the 1st of May I got told about. I've forgotten what the first holiday is. But so this one on the 9th of May, Victory Day, this year. Apparently, the president invited a whole bunch of Instagram models.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of an interest. He copped a bit of flack from it about it. Apparently,
Why?
well, because he invited a whole bunch of Instagram models and not a certain 93-year-old female war veteran who that's what I'd heard what I'd read up as the story goes. Now, you would think on Victory Day you'd be celebrating.
Instagram models, obviously.
Well, but he prefers the Instagram models. Well, I mean, what would you think if on Anzac Day instead of so here in Australia we have Anzac Day, which celebrates the war veterans. Can you imagine like parading down Swanston Street here in Melbourne, Instagram Australian models in bikinis instead?
No, but at the same time, I would also say that Russia is quite different. And Russia is the only place I've ever been where I've seen a woman playing badminton in a full like cocktail dress and high heels, and she's playing badminton and running around and everything.
Yeah, that's because they can probably run in heels in Russia.
Yeah, they seem to like get dressed up for everything.
They do. They do get dressed up for everything.
Even going to like the shops on the weekend, it's like we go to the supermarket. It's the same as going to a nightclub here.
So I
actually heard that in like universities there that you actually have to like they have very strict dress codes.
Oh,
and
really?
if you like here, if you went to university, you can just wear the like sweatpants or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Whereas there they have like really strict dress code where you have to be like actually dressed up.
Wow. Because I know from what I've learned is that the women like to put in a lot of effort with their appearance and
everywhere
how they look.
Go, yeah.
Like all the time and how they go. And like that's just their culture of how they do things, which I think it's a good thing. So I think a few people could learn to put in some more effort here and there and how they look like sometimes. Well, you can speak.
Yeah, true.
So I thought I'd just go for something a bit different, wearing a pink shirt. I mean, you've got your.
There we go.
That's your signature hat. That hat has done many trips in many places. Now it's a bit disheveled here and there, but that adds, I think.
This is actually hat number 2 because the first one is actually even more disheveled.
Even more, well, see, it's got character to it.
Yeah.
And that's what you need whenever you dress up.
Do you know actually how hard it is to
character
travel with hats because they get so smashed in?
They're a pain in the ass. So
yeah. All right.
They're a pain to deal with. So moving on from Russia, what are we going to talk about next?
Well, at the moment, the Festival de Cannes is on. Cannes. However, Cannes. I say Cannes.
Cannes.
I don't know. The French.
Is this in the French one? Cannes.
Yeah. Cannes, not Cannes.
Festival de Cannes.
De Cannes.
In French. So on the French Riviera.
They have all the movies and everything.
So this is the Cannes Film Festival, effectively.
Well, it's actually called the Marche du Film, but you know.
Anyway.
Well, actually, there's several. And anyway, there's the market that sells the films, which is where all the news is, but there's actually a film festival that whatever. In any event.
The Cannes Festival on the French Riviera.
In any event, there's no barrier to entry, or at least to enter the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
So essentially, if you're willing to pay the entry fee,
which is,
I don't know what it is, less than $100 maybe 200, less than that, whatever. It's not that much.
Yeah.
But for that fee, you can force some prestigious film judge to watch whatever the fuck you want to make.
Or you could torture some people.
Yeah. My friend and I had this idea once that we wanted to make a film that was literally just you take a shit and just film this shit in the toilet bowl for an hour and a half and submit it.
That is what would actually be a better film is filming the person who has to watch that.
Yeah, no. If only there was a way you could do that part of it with like out actually knowing these people, but if we knew them or something. But it got me thinking, what else could you make as a shitty film?
Oh, there's a lot of crap stuff out there.
I know, but like you can just make them watch anything.
You know what would be really boring for someone to watch? Someone just typing on a keyboard all day. I mean, that would just be torture, just like the repetitive. Anything that's repetitive.
Yeah, but then I feel like they're going to skip ahead. It needs to almost... And
No,
even
but
the
they've
problem
gotta
with
watch
this
the
shit
whole
as
thing.
well, are they going to? I mean, they're supposed to, I guess, but... I mean, you can always write in a complaint afterwards and say that this is disappointing. You didn't acknowledge the twist in my film that came when I typed W instead of T.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they had to listen to like say like an emergency siren for like an hour or something?
Or you just put in like screeching death metal as the...
Or like nails down a chalkboard or something that's just like, just so cringe. Yeah.
Or they have to watch this podcast.
Well, that wouldn't be as torture. That wouldn't be as torturous. That wouldn't be as torturous.
I feel like if we just submitted this would be enough to make them slit their wrists.
Oh, who knows how they'd react. Who knows?
If you have any ideas, I feel like you should comment and tell us, and maybe we will try and make it.
Yeah, tell us what you think we can talk about.
No, I mean as a movie that we can submit the cards for some
come up with some ideas.
Pompous movie director.
Come up with some ideas that we can submit as a movie. We'll make them and submit it.
Yeah. I feel like we should actually make one that
all right.
is
We'll
bad.
come up with something. We'll see what people up there come up with, but it would be hilarious what ideas people can come up with.
Ruining some poor cons judges.
Oh yeah, that
life.
would be ruining. There are a lot of miserable people out there, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, right. So what do we think next?
So next we have, one thing I've noticed is, if you've seen, there seems to be this hacky thing of politicians drinking beers. It's like they do it not because they enjoy beer, but because it's the thing to be seen to be doing.
Well, let's be honest. Who doesn't love a beer?
Politicians, because they forcefully go out of their way to be like, oh, here is the beer I was drinking that I've now put here. Beer.
Coffee, same thing.
No, but pretend that was a beer.
Yeah.
They would just be like, oops, I accidentally left my beer in the shop.
Okay, it comes down to one thing. So there's a former prime minister who unfortunately...
No, because this is not an Australian thing. This is a global thing.
You reckon it's a global thing?
Yeah, because there was even the one of the woman in US or whatever who like just happened to be drinking beer on her Instagram video. Elizabeth Warren, that's the one.
So she was drinking beer as well.
Yeah, where it was like, it was so clearly forced. But the thing is that there's so many of them where it just doesn't feel like they're not in a bar like hunched over 10 beers deep.
So it's almost like holding a baby pretty much.
Yeah, which you've done.
Which, I have done actually. No, I did that multiple times in one day actually once. That was quite funny. That'll come out at some point.
Yeah.
Me holding the baby footage. That was a crazy 3 hours that morning.
I feel like now we have to go into that. So let's just, what happened?
No, well, let's wait for the when you.
All right. Okay, fine.
That'll come. That story will come out at a later point. So let's back to the beer thing.
Yeah.
So why do you think, is there any reason why they think they need to hold a beer or be drinking?
Because it makes them feel like they're like a regular person or whatever. They're like one of our scum that they then fit in with.
Well, some of them may actually enjoy beer themselves.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like clear that they're not.
Well, if they want, then they should just drink a shandy instead.
Yeah,
or a Chardonnay.
They should just be open and honest and not.
I agree with you that.
Oh, oops. My beer is in shot. I didn't mean to put it there.
Why do they only get pots? They should just get pints. If they really like beer, then get a...
Well, one, because half the time if you're out, they don't sell that.
Oh, yeah, true. It depends where you are.
Yeah, but two, then some of them even drink from the bottles, but it's just like, ooh, look at me. I have a beer.
Well, I know in Australia, at least, there was one former prime minister who always loved a beer. That's probably where it came from.
Yeah, but that was actually legit. And that's not an example that we're talking about here. Because he clearly actually enjoyed beer. So it's
he enjoyed, there's plenty of photos of him having beers with people all over the place.
Yeah, but that's natural. It's when they're like Oops, I left it in
Well,
there.
it looks stupid anyway if they're trying to fake something.
Yeah, I know, but what the hell do they think they're actually achieving by doing
Well,
this?
they're not. Well, who knows? They're not achieving anything. Let's be honest. We all know that they're not achieving anything by just drinking a beer.
I guess.
So,
well,
it seems ridiculous why they would do that.
I think it's time we take a new path here, and we do a special segment of two people who have never ever watched Game of Thrones break down the final episode of Game of Thrones.
Okay, let's
By
do
not
this.
even watching it, we're going to go off the Wikipedia plot overview.
Yep.
And I'm going to give it to you. You get to read.
I will read it. So I'm going to read this.
Yeah.
So, the final episode of Game of Thrones.
So just to be clear, neither of us have watched any of it. I've watched about 5 minutes of the first episode and didn't.
I haven't watched a single second of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, although I have heard of the character.
You hear the names
you
in
hear the
general,
names and
whatever.
characters
But
'cause
yeah,
everyone
other
talks
than
about
that,
it. So, final episode of Game of Thrones. Jon Snow and Davos Seaworth survey the destruction of Daenerys Targaryen
that sounds like a perfect pronunciation.
right on King's Landing, while Tyrone Lannister finds Jaime and Cersei Lannister's corpse in the ruins of the Red Keep. I actually don't know what's going on here.
Poor them. It sucks that they died. I'm assuming they were
Unfortunately,
heroes and that everything's
Grey Worm execute Lannister soldiers.
What the hell is Grey Worm?
I don't
Is that
know
a
what
giant?
Grey.
I'm just picturing.
I don't know what Grey Worm
I'm
is.
just picturing this like massive grey worm killing
like a
people,
big slug or whatever going.
killing randoms.
So Grey Worm executes Lannister soldiers, saying Daenerys.
I'm
ordered
almost
it.
certain that you
That
mispronounced that.
I probably did. Daenerys ordered it.
Why would they do that?
Daenerys declares to the Unsullied and Dothraki that she will liberate not only Westeros, but the entire world. I love how I'm pronouncing this so well.
You read it with so much dramatic
Tyrion
emphasis.
publicly resigns as Daenerys' hand in protest to her rule and is arrested for treason.
Why? He's arrested for treason for denying. You can't retire.
I think the Daenerys is like the place.
Okay.
That's my
But even
guess.
still, like if you no, I thought it was a person. Didn't they say they gave orders?
No, it says execute saying Daenerys. Well, it could be.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
yeah, sorry. The destruction of Daenerys on. I really don't know at this point.
Okay. But I'm just figuring, like, what kind of assholes are they where they don't let you just resign? Like, if you don't want to go to war anymore, can't you just come
Who
home?
knows? Apparently, both Arya Starkand and Tyrone warned Jon that Daenerys will have him and Sansa Stark killed, and the fate of Westeros is in his hands. So Westeros is clearly the place where this is.
Yeah. So it happens in Westeros.
Yeah, it happens in Westeros. We're
It's
assuming.
not Daenerys. Daenerys must be the
Oh yeah, because
person.
I'm reading the second thing.
Okay.
Jon, let me just read this whole thing, then we can talk. So Jon confronts Daenerys in the throne room, trying to convince her. So Daenerys is clearly we're going to go.
Is
with
the throne room the toilet? Because that kind of
could,
sounds like
it could.
kind of sounds
could
like
be
the
anyway.
yeah.
in the throne room, trying to convince her to stop fighting, and criticizes her for burning the children of King's Landing to death.
That's a bit harsh.
Burning the children to death. What is
that like a dramatic way of saying
That's
the
a
children
bit-
of whatever and it's the people, but it's
Yeah,
or is it actual children?
I don't know, to be honest. Daenerys responds that it was necessary to kill the children because Cersei
Okay, so it's actual
Sees-
children. Yep.
says thought mercy was a weakness on her part and that the opinions of other good people do not count.
So she basically just killed the children to prove that she's
A strong leader, probably.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. After she refuses his request. They kiss before Jon stabs and kills her.
Ooh.
Drogon melts the Iron Thorn with dragonfire and carries Daenerys' body away.
So
Jon is arrested.
I'm picturing that it was getting like a nice hot and heavy sex scene about to happen, and then this dickhead comes and stabs her.
And stab a few people.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, let's move. Let's keep reading the rest of this.
Who doesn't want Westeros porn out there? I'm sure it probably exists.
Why not? Okay. So sometime later, the Lords of Westeros convene to decide who will be the next ruler. Tyrion, still a prisoner, suggests the future kings be elected by the Lords of Westeros.
What the hell? Wait. Why are we taking? So we put this guy in jail because he doesn't want to go to war, and then he gets to give the opinion. This makes no sense. No wonder people are getting upset about this.
Yeah. So suggests the future king be elected by the Lords of Westeros rather than inheriting the succession from the Seven Kingdoms. Bran, someone completely different, appoints Tyrion to be his hand, and Jon is sentenced to rejoin the Night's Watch as penance for killing Daenerys to
What the hell is
appease those loyal to her.
What the hell is a Night's Watch? Because if you're joining that and it's a punishment, like
no idea. It's probably some sort of group.
It's got to be like the worst part of the army to join, or the like some shit like the front line where you're just being shot at constantly.
Yeah. So
okay, continue.
And then it says Grey Worm leads the
giant Grey Worm.
Giant unsailed to Nath, which I'm guessing is another place. Nath, Missandeia's homeland. So that's a place of some description. The Dothraki are also sent home to Essos.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, they got sent home.
Yep. Okay. So then
it sounds like there's like just a not doing your homework punishment.
That does. So then Tyrion recognizes the small council to include Brienne of Tarth, Davos, and Samuel Tarly, and they begin planning to rebuild King's Landing. Sam presents a Song of Ice and Fire, a history book of Westeros following the death of Robert Baratheon, written by Archmaestro Ebros.
What? So he just writes a song?
Something like that, yes.
So I'm guessing that this song took up a decent amount of the episode and they play like the full song and it was terrible and people are complaining about that.
Noting that Tyrone was omitted, so someone important's apparently been admitted.
Wait, they left him out of the song? Yes, what is this?
Apparently. Bran briefly meets with the council, which has yet to fill a few positions. Bran says he may be able to find Drogon. Arya decides to explore.
Wait, who the hell is Drogon?
I don't know because I don't think I've said Drogon before.
I feel like Drogon is someone who was exiled and had to come back.
Must be important. Arya decides to explore the Enchanted Seas west of Westeros.
West of Westeros? How do you have the name Westeros?
I don't know how much
if it's not the west.
I don't know how much further west you can get. And Sansa is appointed Queen of the North by the local lord. And Jon, reunited with Tormund Giantsbane, Ghost, and Wildling, heads beyond the wall.
But they won't be on the wall. I figure when they go west that they're playing the village people go west.
That would I reckon they would have that song in there at some point.
Yeah.
Jon lives on as I know that this bit has been added in.
What?
So I'm going to read it anyway. Jon lives on as a motivational speaker and blindly reads anything that is put in front of him, having come second in a fried duck itik eating competition, and needs to be forever reminded that he talked a bunch of shit about how he would win, but did not. AKA remind me of, me, Marcus the Motivator, who, yes, I will read any shit that's put in front of me because it's hilarious.
Was the Wikipedia plot summary. Clearly someone really knows what they're talking about and added a little bit to the end there.
So to summarize, it sounds like the final Game of Thrones of episode. People disappeared and went somewhere else. A lot of people got killed. and
People
they
went
redid
west of
something,
Westeros.
and people went somewhere else and left the wall and the town and city. Does
So-
that sound about it? I reckon
Something like
sounds
that.
right.
But like when they went west of Westeros, is that like saying that? Is it like the flat Earth where they just went off the side
Probably.
of the flat
Yeah.
Earth?
Could
Because
be.
if you went west of the whatever the most western, I'm guessing like Antarctica or whatever, you go over the edge.
Yep.
So you head to the very western edge.
Yep.
Then you go over and you keep going west, and you just fall off, I guess. So they jumped off the flat Earth.
Well, I suppose that's how you sum up the last episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to say about this?
It makes absolutely zero sense.
It makes
First
no
of all,
sense to
get
me.
real names. I mean, the naming is so damn confusing. Daenerys and Cersei and
Yep.
Cersei or Nath or then Mindson Daenerys. Can't they just use real names so that we can follow
That'd
this?
be good. So, I've come up with an idea for a new segment. After our first podcast, I was thinking, what could we do that would be a little bit interesting? Now, I thought about some recent events that had happened in my life, and I thought of an idea that everyone could come up with a scenario to add. So, we're going to create something called the Ugly Files.
What the fuck are you talking about?
So I've named it the Ugly Files. And in order to go into the Ugly Files,
Is that a typo on the ugly files?
no,
Okay.
to go into the Ugly Files,
Because I'm
You
just
have to-
before we get to that, I'm just thinking the ugly files. It was a typo, and you wanted
no.
you wanted to just document your brother's dating.
no,
history.
I'm not. No, this is actually so the Ugly Files
Yes.
are. It's going to be stories and scenarios of when people in whatever scenario in life, just normal life, day to day work, whatever it is. So the Ugly Files is going to be stories of when people have absolutely made a mess of what they were doing and completely fucked up something.
And where the fuck did you get the name Ugly Files from?
So the name Ugly has come. I don't want to say where I got it from because a couple of people who in different parts of things that I do made some mistakes that were just, what the fuck are you? How the fuck did you come up with that idea? So what we want people to do is we want people to come up with. We're going to come up with people and stories who have done things that you just go, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? Like, how did you come to the conclusion of that? Well, how did you come to that conclusion, and how did you make that decision?
Like when you said you were going to win the Friday dick eating
Exactly. So I'm nominating myself as the first entrant of the Ugly Files because, yes, I came second in a fried duck eating competition and I was really damn confident I'd actually win.
Can you just say that I'm a loser?
I came second, which,
And
if
you
you
are a
ask
loser.
him, is the first loser. So,
Kim-san, from the moment you walked in
Can't
the
hear it,
door,
but you know what's
I love
playing.
you are actually amazing.
So yes, I'm the first entrant I'm putting myself as the first entrant into the Ugly Files.
So that's the worst thing you've ever done.
Well, it's not
What's your biggest fuck up then?
What's the biggest thing I've fucked up? I don't know.
Clearly too many to even think at this point.
I've been in a few scenarios. I don't reckon I've done anything too bad, but yeah, so I'm the first entrant in the Ugly Files, and what we have to do is every podcast we want you out there to write in as well. Nominate someone, or tell us a story where someone's and tell us who it was, and we can add them into the Ugly files.
I'll give you one.
Yep. So we're going to have the second entrant.
This is going to get you. Okay. So at a music festival, Soundwave to be exact.
Yes.
Thought I had to fart.
Yep.
Turns out I didn't.
Yep.
And it was a little bit more in the middle of in the middle of the mosh pit.
So you literally
and I may or may not have the only time in my life crowd surfed.
Oh,
True story.
So you actually shat yourself while crowd
A little
surfing.
bit, yeah.
That's what this is the kind of stuff we're looking for. Just crazy scenarios that have been completely and utterly fucked up. Now, it doesn't matter where it's come from. Just give us the story and tell us who it was.
Or anonymous.
Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can, but it's always good to have a name attached to it so we can
insult them.
So we can applaud them for doing so well at whatever it is.
I have a semi-related one, which at the age of around 15, which is way too late for this, we were at someone's house and it was like a family get-together thing, right?
Yeah.
And this guy played this music that was so funny and whatever that I may or may not have literally wet my pants.
So you're an entrant into the Ugly files, not once but twice, because you had your bodily fluids come out both ends.
And you're an entrant into this twice because one, the example you gave, but two, the fact that you've chosen to name this the Ugly files and not even be able to tell us why you've named it that.
I will put the two people who it's named after into the files one day.
Ooh,
so we will
find a teaser out there to find out what it is.
We have a couple of stories, but we will get to those as we go along.
Okay. Ooh, teaser for the future.
So yes. So is there anything else we want to cover on the podcast this week?
I don't know. Do you have anything?
No, I think that's good for this week.
Okay.
I think that's a wrap for this week.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess comment, like, subscribe, all that.
Yep.
Mumbo jumbo.
And until next week.
And think of embarrassing, crazy shit you or your friends have done.
Exactly. And we hope you feel very comfortable here on the 4th place.
Yes, the 4th place. I actually want to go a little bit more into the 4th place because, Starbucks, they don't refer to who coined the term the 3rd place. They don't refer to their employees as employees. They're not baristas either. They're
what are they?
Partners.
Yeah.
So I don't refer to our listeners, watchers, whatever, people that are pretending or for whatever reason have accidentally clicked on this and have forgotten how to close it.
Yeah.
I don't refer to them as listeners or watchers or viewers or any of that either. I consider them partners in our show as well.
Yeah.
Because we need to also be extremely hacky and stupid.
We want people to feel comfortable here in the 4th place.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
And a lot like other things, you're a partner, but you have no ownership or involvement in this. So get fucked if you think that you don't have any control over this.
All right. So I think we're going to...
I think the point I'm trying to make is that we want to give you a hacky name, but fuck you.
Yeah. So I think the best way to sign it off is
yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
we hope I don't know, but we hope you felt comfortable here today in the 4th place.
Yeah, and if you're taking a shit right now, we hope that we've helped you ease it out a little bit.
Exactly.